In the last part, I briefly showed how changing X and Y can change the position of the objects. You might remember something along the lines of the coordinate plane from like geometry or whatever. You have a grid of sorts where you start in the middle at 0, 0, and every position along this grid is simply, it's basically a bunch of squares where every time you move to the right, you increment one of the numbers, the X value, by 1, and if you move up, you increment Y by 1. Right here, we're at 0x and 0y. But if we move to here, we've moved over 1, 2, and then up 1, 2. So now we're at 2x and 2y. And of course, you can then move to the left or down by going negative. So if I move down 1 and left 2, we're at negative 2x, negative 1y, and we'd be in this position. This is the basic idea behind a grid, the Cartesian 2D plane that you'd be working on. The important distinction I do want to say here is that we always start at 0, 0 as the origin point. When it comes to video games though, at least with the way GameMaker handles it, the top left of the screen is 0, 0 instead. And because GameMaker is 2D focused and pixel focused, it actually counts every single individual pixel as one spot. So if you move down 100 pixels, you would then be at 100y, because for GameMaker, moving down increases the y value. So although X still works the same way, it's flipped over here. The further down you go, the higher the y value is. The further up you go, the lower the y value is. If you go up here, you get negative 10y or something along those lines. So when I set the X and Y values of our object, that's why they move around. It's because we're setting them to 8 each. We're basically putting them in the top left. If we do something along these lines, suddenly we're throwing them way, way, way down to the bottom right. Who knows where. As a last example, GameMaker has a room editor that makes this behavior pretty easy to see. On the right, we have a panel that gives information about this 20 node. Note the XY here. And when we move it, you can see X and Y change as well.